Now, I have not gotten a lot done this month. As I talked about, I have been sick. And what is today? Today is the 30th of January. I got sick on January 3rd. And today my sinuses are still stopped up a little bit. I'm still coughing and hacking. I've gone through 2 rounds of antibiotics. I'm beginning to wonder if I'm ever going to get well. I'm desperately missing modeling, and I try to get in a little bit every now and then, just a burst of it every now and then. Anyway, the last I got done on the Sentinel was that magnetizing, which I did earlier in the month. I think it was one Friday evening when I actually got it done, and I had energy that one Friday evening back sometime in January, and got the magnetization done. And then one afternoon recently, I started on the base on here. Now, bases, sometimes I just start adding stuff until I think it begins to look interesting. This one, I put down a base of cork, just slices of cork from just bottles and cork stoppers. And I've just got a whole bunch of them down on there. And I got to looking at it, and I thought, well, that looks good, but I want it to look like there's some dirt on it. So I put some Vallejo texture paste on it in areas, and that was okay, but it wasn't enough. And so I used some of this wilder textured earth on there to add that up. And then once it was mostly dry, I pushed in the legs so that I would have a footprint to kind of know where it was going to be oriented. And what I go for with basing is, I mean, I may have, like, I know I want this to be desert, so it's going to get primed and painted and all of that. But I just kind of think, okay, I just want it to look interesting. That's my main goal, is I want it to just look not just some texture and maybe some grass tufts, but some undulation, some interest, some visual interest, something that will make you look at and wonder where it is. My motivation for doing this particular look is actually from when back in '93 I was flying from Egypt to Somalia. On my way to Somalia, we stopped over at a military airfield outside of Cairo for a fueling stop to fly in. And that flight between Cairo and Mogadishu, just south of Cairo, I guess getting into the desert and mountain area down in, I guess, in Egypt, maybe south of there. That was some of the most unhospitable looking terrain that I've ever seen. And from the air, it just looked like somebody had taken chunks of rock and broken them up and then just poured sand around them and mud. And I mean, it was just, the color wasn't like this. I mean, this is not the color it's going to be, but it was just completely inhospitable looking. So I kind of wanted to, just in my own head, capture a little bit of that. Now, this morning, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put on some of these grass tufts. Even though it's desert, if you look out, and not in all desert areas, but in some desert areas, even when it's very dry, you may see little bits of grass here and there, and I just want to put a few of those on. I've tried using them both kind of unpainted and painted, and I tend to like them when I just prime over them and then paint them. I think they end up looking better. So that's what I'm going to go with. And these are just from Citadel. They've got a sticky backing. They're designed so you can just stick them right onto a miniature base, but I like to glue them in a little bit. And I'm just using PVA glue to glue them in, but just enough to give it a little bit of life. Not quite as lifeless as that area that I flew over. I've looked up pictures of it in the years since, and it looks every bit as inhospitable as it seemed to from the air. I remember thinking as we were flying over that, man, I hope we don't go down, because, well, I mean, it would have been bad to go down anyway, but I thought, there ain't nothing out here. It was kind of cool that as we were taking off from that airfield, I happened to be sitting, if I remember correctly, on the left side of the aircraft, and I looked out to the left and I saw the Sphinx and I saw pyramids and I saw stuff like that. So I never visited them per se, but I have seen them as we took off in a distance from a window, and I thought that was kind of cool, though I would have much rather seen them in some way other than on my way to Somalia. But anyway, this is the base for this. Like I think I've said, it's going to be desert. Let me check it and make sure that I didn't get too many grass tufts where I don't want them. It's going to be desert, and this is going to be kind of in the colors of sort of kind of some of the British tanks in World War II. You know, you saw the ones that had the tan and then either maybe a gray or a black or something like that. That's what this is going to be. So I'm going to be doing it that way. So this right here that you see is pretty much, maybe I'll get it primed tomorrow, but unfortunately this is going to be the sum total of my modeling output for January. It's been a tough one. It's been discouraging in a way, because I mean, I'm actually starting to think, am I ever going to get back to modeling normally again? Am I ever going to be well enough? I know I am, but it just doesn't seem to want to go away. So hopefully I'm not too long from it being cleared up. One other thing, I keep sending out notices just to make sure that nobody's caught unawares, but I'll bring it up here one more time. If you haven't made a change in your tiers, be sure and do that. Go back. If you have not read about it, go back and check the January 1st update that I did that talks about the changes in the tiers. Starting in February is when I'll start using the new tiers for content. And then at the very end of February, by March 1st, I will have deleted the old tiers. Now, the way Patreon works, as I understand it, and this is why I want everybody to be aware, if you do not switch out of the old tiers, even after I delete them, they will keep charging you. There's nothing I can do about that. I can't individually stop it from charging one or another. They only give you the option of shutting off billing for all or none. So it's real important that if you're on one of the tiers, if you're still on one of the tiers that's going to be going away, please consider going ahead and changing to one of the two that's going to be around. If you have questions, please do let me know. I'll be glad to answer them. And thank you all for your patience as I go through this process. All right, well, happy day to you, friends. Bye-bye.